we here? Did it happen? Are we live? I think we're live. Okay, let me redo that intro. Hold on. Welcome. I'm gonna have to chop that out. Still getting used to the whole YouTube streaming thing, man. I've been a Twitch streamer for a long time, when it was just on TV, if you guys can believe that. So thanks so much for everybody tuning in and the CEPL World War Paint Throwdown Event 3 layout review and analysis. That is a tongue twister. It's going to be a good one. We're going to look at this layout for the event that's coming up in, I think, 2 weeks. I think we caught this one at the right time, I hope. I don't generally like to review layouts less than 2 weeks out, just because a lot of what I'm going to say is hypothetical, right? We're testing theories. We're coming up with at least good theories for you guys to use into practice, right? So if you've already had 1 weekend's worth of practice on it, I don't know if I'm going to be able to say anything that's going to be great. Oh, it's this weekend? Guys, you guys, it's this weekend? You guys need to give me these layouts well in advance, okay? I can't, there's not much I'm going to be able to say that's going to be different than what you already learned, right? Because you should have vetted out a lot of what the layout has to offer before then. So that's fine. We'll roll with the punches. But a couple things at the top of this. If you guys are watching this as a YouTube video, or if you're watching it live right now, please click the like button. It does help me out a lot. It helps spread the video to lots of other people. I realize not everybody is going to be watching this video because the tournament's this weekend, but that's okay. If you're a long-time watcher and haven't subscribed, please do so. If you have subscribed and you've been watching for more than, I don't know, like 10 videos or something, consider becoming a member today. It does help me out a lot. I appreciate your help in doing that. We are going to look at this layout, or we're going to look at this layout. We're going to try to do it effectively, especially because this tournament is this weekend. So yeah, other thing to say, I'm happy to look at layouts. I'm happy to offer my insights, especially for those who are on the Discord server. If you want me to look at a layout, if you want me to give you my opinions on things, you have to join the Discord server. That is the easiest way to get my attention, okay? I am there constantly. I respond to people all the time. So the other thing is I need guns up links. If you just send me pictures, I can't really do much with that. So please send me the links to the actual guns up layouts. And the last thing is, I will probably only cover layouts that are somewhat of a regional tournament or a national tournament on stream, okay? Just to maximize the amount of eyeballs on that thing. Otherwise, I can give you a few tips here and there, but hopefully the things that I talk about in these layout reviews can translate into other layouts, right? I'm trying to give you guys the tools that you need to then walk fields on your own, okay? That's the whole point of this. So any tips for a 2-man 10-ball tournament? Teams of 2, 10 balls in the hopper. Got one this Saturday. It's not ranked tournament, just for fun. I don't. I'm sorry, Eric. That's such a weird format. I couldn't tell you. Would you be open to critiquing videos of our gameplay? Absolutely, but not in today's stream. If you guys want me to critique your videos or, yeah, your footage, please send it to SVPPaintballClips at gmail.com. It is linked in the description below. I try to batch them all together so that we have enough content to review in one stream. So I will absolutely do that in a future stream, though. So absolutely. Okay. Let's jump straight into it. We're going to keep the Conker's Bad Fur Day music going. This is actually perfect music for this. So the first thing that we always do, for those who've been longtime watchers of mine, is that we draw the zones, okay? And these are not perfect. These are purely based on assumption, and that's okay. I would suspect that the zones are probably... That's tough, actually. That's kind of tough. I would say that these are probably the zones. This last one I drew is really controversial, I would say, just looking at it right away. And we'll talk about it here in a second. I would call that Iowa. I would call this... Oh, you know what? I could use my writing pad, but I won't for this one. This is Iowa. This is Nevada. We're going to say this is Texas because it's big. This is Oklahoma, and this is Arizona, okay? The whole logic behind this is that in a standard breakout, we would likely find each player in in one player in any of these zones, typically speaking, in like a safe breakout. Which is helpful to know, because if you eliminate a person in front of you and they walk out of that zone, you can deduce where the next guy is going to be. So again, this isn't like this isn't rocket, or this isn't a foolproof empirical way to do this, but because this bunker in particular presents some problems, people could, the 3 or the number 2 could be in here, or would likely be in here. So I'm actually trying to include this bunker as well. And the other purpose for drawing these is that they are useful tools. So for example, if in a standard breakout with the zones that we drew here being Arizona, if this is the Arizona, or you could call it Charger, which is a common one as well, then the person that runs past this zone is obviously, that's no longer Arizona. But if they pulled up short and only ran to this snake bunker off the break, and you took the big bite, well, now all of a sudden the guy behind you who has visual of that, and he calls Arizona, well, now you've got a wrap. You've got so much real estate to push up, right? So that's the value of drawing those zones. That's why we do it. So after we draw the zones, the next thing that we do is we walk the baseline to see what sort of gaps and shots exist off the break. We'll try to do this quickly because you guys are already well aware of all of this, I'm sure. There's one gap that's kind of odd. I don't think I would shoot it, but this gap does exist for the person running opposite of the corner. There's obviously this big gap up the center that you could shoot and apply pressure. There's gaps from the home. Pretty obvious here. I don't know if anybody would be shooting that gap as you walk up to the bunker, at least in the guns up layout, which I would actually suspect, guys. I would probably suspect that this gap exists more so in the actual layout than it does here. And that's okay, but just be aware of that when you're walking the field. That shot might actually be pretty solid, and it might have been pretty solid at your local field. So just be aware of that. But otherwise, this is the gap you've got. You're probably planning to kill the number 2 with that shot as opposed to the number 1. And then otherwise, you've got this massive, massive gap to shoot the number 1 off the break. If he's taking the snake off the break. If the guy runs to the corner, your best shot is to stand tall and shoot him right here. Hoping he stands tall as well. Excuse me, but that's not a great shot. Top of the pins gets the snake corner. Snake corner. Yeah, I would assume shooting right here is a pretty decent shot for that corner runner. Running out to your primary bunker shooting heads up is pretty standard. I doubt you would kill that guy. I doubt you'd kill the snake runner because I don't think you're going to beat him there. Otherwise, when you get to this bunker, you've got a pretty big gap. I feel like we looked at this layout already. Guys, am I crazy? Can somebody do me a favor really quickly? I've done this before. I've done it several times now. Can somebody go back to my live streams and my past broadcast playlist and tell me if I have reviewed this layout already? It should just be titled CEPL layout review, or somewhere in the title. It should be called that. Please tell me, because I feel like this looks familiar. I hope not. Anyway, so here's this. There's a gap here. Pretty solid. As we move up, this Aztec has a nasty cross shot on us, as well as the Dorito. So that's something that we will have to... The best way to do it... The guy that's heads up can't actually see you. So your best bet is probably just to head check that Aztec first. Establish that, and then I would probably just take the bite, because that Dorito guy is going to have to react to you, and if he's not shooting at you already, you're probably safe. But this guy could actually probably... This guy probably has time to react to you and still shoot you if you're not careful. So I just check off the Aztec and you're probably good. You can't see the true... It's not a true tape, so you can't see that, but you can see this inside shot, which I would suspect that people are going to this bunker to stop the snake from being free. Maybe actually that's a 50, so maybe not. That's a huge gap. Otherwise, you are going to fight with this at this tower, and you actually might be able to avoid it. Just depending on how wide you come out of your bunker, because the wider you come out, like right here, that Aztec's not going to hit you. The problem obviously is that you're now super exposed to anybody on the wire. And the other thing you got to be aware of is that the tower actually has a pretty decent shot right here at this corner. If they put their paint on the front side of this corner, those balls will fly and hit your pack. So if you try to go too close to this as you're moving up, absolutely you can hit this. Your last few video reviews, field reviews, were RMPL, CXPL, MAO, SPL. Okay, so at least if 2 weeks ago I haven't reviewed this layout, I think we're okay. It just, the snake looked really, really similar. So The other thing you got to be worried about in this case would probably be this wedge guy, though I don't think the juice box is going to look at you, because I don't think they can afford to do so, and I really don't think there's going to be a guy in the Aztec unless they're baiting you, right? CXPL snake kind of look the same. Okay, thank you. We're also, as we walk each side of the field, the primary things that you front players should be aware of is what are the free kills that I get from each. Like, the thing you want to look at is what's the route I take to get from one bunker to the next. That's the safest route to take. What are the roadblocks to taking those routes? And then what are the free kills that I get when I get to those bunkers, okay? Somebody asked me in the Discord server prior to live streaming, like, when do I look inside of the field and when do I look on the outside of the field? Because, like, I'm normally used to playing the Doritos, which is somewhat intuitive, but when I play the snake, I'm not quite sure. So in that case, you first need to have that sort of foundation to work from, okay? You need to know what are the routes I take, what are the roadblocks to those routes, and then who are the free kills when I get to those bunkers. When you understand those things, all you're really putting together after that is what's the best use of my time here, okay? So if, for example, you're mirrored up in the snake completely, okay? So let's say, for example, this is kind of a hyperbolic example, but let's say you're here and they are here, okay? You both have people overwatching and protecting you from both sides, and so it's like it doesn't make sense to gun battle here, right? So you don't need to look on the outside of the field unless your buddy tells you. The trick is this guy needs to have constant communication to you if you're in this specific example, because as soon as he dies, this dude, all he has to do is just come run you down, and now they've got the snake for free, right? They can even trade, 1 for 1 in this case, but now they're up one more body on this side of the field. So in this specific example, it's probably a better use of your time to just be scanning the inside of the field and periodically coming up over the top to head check, or to periodically be fighting heads up, just because in some instances, what can happen is that if this guy that you're fighting is staying dedicated on the inside and this dude's the only one playing heads up, well, now if this dude's challenging this guy and you are as well on a lower angle, you've got 2 guns shooting this way to bully this guy, okay? And so sometimes you can win the heads up gun battle just by doing that, and then you can force a rundown where you trade out and this guy still doesn't even have the ability to retaliate, right? It's not very often that happens, but that is a possibility. So I don't play the snake enough to have like any sort of process for this specifically, but usually when I'm playing the snake, those are the only things I'm looking at, is like what is stopping me from getting to my next bunker, and I challenge that if I need to, or if I need to match somebody. So I'm putting people in if I need to. So for example, we've talked about this before, I'll do this really quick, but let's say I'm mirrored up. We're mirrored up exactly, okay? And let's say for whatever reason they take the bite first into the snake. Well, if my eyes were heads up, then all I have to do, and in this case it's not actually even true, all I have to do for the next 2 to 3 seconds is shoot paint at this guy to get him to flinch and then take the bite. And as long as I do it within that 2 to 3 second window, I have now matched the guy for free, because I've essentially, by his movement, have made it a 1v1. Now, the problem is that when this guy is very good and doesn't let go of that pressure, and this guy takes the bite, then you're in trouble, right? And that does happen, especially if the team is coordinated. So, like, I'm not saying these angles exist, but just use this as an example. If you've got 2 guns on you that are like, we want to prevent them from getting into the snake, and this guy beats you, well, now all of a sudden you can't really get into the snake, because now you got 2 people to fight, and that doesn't really work. So, okay, so the first thing we want to look at is what free kills exist. There's not going to be any free kills in the snake. I would suspect that this is just a leapfrog bunker to get to the next one, and your biggest problem to be solved is this battle right here. Excuse me. This battle right here, and maybe this wedge as well, depending on where they go. So that's the first problem to be solved. As soon as you get to this bunker, you've got a gap that you could shoot if you really wanted, but I wouldn't recommend it, because that's not going to be very productive. You could shoot the wedge, but honestly, this is a bad angle for both of you. Like, this angle's not great, this angle's not great. It's just a very scary gunfight. I probably wouldn't even bother, and I wouldn't even bother probably shooting this guy either, unless you're hearing he's coming up over the top or he's rapping in some way, right? So otherwise, your only problem in this case to be solved is really this, if this guy's shooting at you or not. So long as this dude isn't hard rapping, if he got to the 50 before you, as long as this dude isn't like taking a wide wrap, you're usually good. It looks like you're just fine to check this guy off. and then make sure the guy in the wedge is not there as well. So probably what I would do if I were you is I would get super low. I don't know. That tower might be able to kill you still. But if I get super low, I would look to see if there's a guy in the wedge. If not, then I would either take the bite if paint's not coming at me, or if it is, I would back up, stand up over the top, shoot him here, and then I'd come down and get into the snake. Otherwise, you probably can just, if you go wide right here, see, look at this. Nobody can see me. Boom, into the snake. You think you'll hit the brick off the break to hold the snake bump? Possibly. We'll look at that in a second. The center brick, yeah, we'll take a look at that in just a second. We're just going to do each side first. I just want to see from everybody's perspective. Okay, are there any free kills in this 40 snake, essentially? Nope, there's no free kills. There is a big gap you can hold, though. So if you do get stuck, you can prevent their Dorito side from pushing if this is their widest player. So you would be looking for a Dorito, depending on if you called that Dorito corner a baby. If you called this baby or delta, which we probably would, and this is D1, this is D2, and this is D3. If you hear D2's looking to go, whatever, then that might be your cue to put some paint in this zone for a second or look that way. Otherwise, playing heads up is pretty straightforward. You don't need to challenge the corner guy, so I probably wouldn't. Like, the only way to challenge him is if you come out super wide. And you might be able to surprise him this way, right? We just went over that. But otherwise, like, I don't think you need to come up over the top, because you can probably just be... Well, I don't know if you can get to this 50 without having to challenge this guy, because the guns up layout won't let me. But if you do, then it might not be a bad idea to come up over the top to get this guy to flinch to then go. Because as soon as you get him to flinch, assuming you know where the snake guy is, you can now get to this little mini wedge. And then from here, you're probably safe to wrap. Is there any free kills here? This is a free kill, I would suspect. May not be free, but it's probably an easy one. Probably going to get somebody's pack there, depending on how tight they're playing. If you wrap... I would not wrap on that tower from here. Is that a bunker? You'll kill the back center for free. This guy, well, not for free. He's living behind his gun if he's still there. So this guy is probably a pack hit. This guy is living behind his gun. He either has to look at you or you probably kill him for free. Depending on what kind of pressure he's getting on the other side. If you wrap this bunker, super hard wrap, you kill the Dorito. You would kill that guy unless he's super dug in. And that's it. You'll kill anybody in the 50. The 50 line's pretty interesting. You'll kill anybody in the 50, and then inside... I wouldn't look on the inside here if I were you. You can obviously shoot a gap. This is a big, big gap. So you can shoot this gap to prevent them from breaking out. But I'm not sure that's worth it. And then obviously you've got this heads-up battle if they're in the corner. If they're in the snake 1, 2. If they're in the snake 2, that's a pretty tricky battle for sure. The highway run might be better to take in some cases, but it just kind of depends. So one thing to think about is, let's say for example you killed the center guy. So let's say you go here, you kill this middle guy, and you're putting pressure on this dude right here. There's actually a pretty cool route you could take. So let's say the only spots that they're in after that is in this snake right here and in this corner. So you've tigered somebody out of the middle and you've pressured the guy on the opposite side of the field. If this guy's still looking heads up, you actually can take this route right here as long as you're low. If you're low enough and the corner can't see you, you can actually take this route and look at all these pins. Look at all these pins that are blocking you. So now when you get here, that guy is free. These two people are free right here. And I know you guys are probably thinking like, nobody does this. I promise you, if you watch Seattle Thunder, if you watch GJ Sakaguchi, this man does this all the time. So I promise you these routes exist. But those are free kills at that point, and then all you have to do is run this guy down and you've won. Obviously you can't miss, right? If you shoot, as soon as you shoot your paint, you've got a second, maybe. You've got 1 second before you shoot both of these people, and you've got to run this guy down before the corner guy kills you or the snake guy knows where you're at, right? But this little highway route is kind of interesting. You could even do a safer one where, let's say you put this guy in. You know they're in the corner. You know they're in the snake 1. You kill this guy. You put this guy in. Well, now all of a sudden, if you go low, you head check this dude right here. You can take this inside route to the snake 2. And now, boom. Look how safe you are. Yeah, dude. GJ rep in Hawaii, absolutely. So now you're here. If he's in the snake 2, boom, you can kill him that way. Otherwise, now you've got super good control on the inside of the field. You definitely don't want to get run down by the outside, but that's just something to consider. So not a lot of free kills when you get up the snake, and anything past the 50 is just like just look anywhere, right? You probably get kills. Let's look at the Dorito side, and then we'll look at the center. So if we take the same routes or run the baseline as well, it doesn't look like you'd really care to shoot anything cross over here. You could. There's definitely shots, but like the only shot that I can see is like this over the top. This over the top shot is there. It's kind of a tough one. You've got a corner shot, but you're probably, I mean, by the time that shot's even relevant, you're well past the zone. Holy exposure, Batman. Wouldn't that leave us out in the open a bit? Absolutely. But who is going to shoot you? Trying to snag those free kills from 40. Wait, I'm not sure what the parentheticals mean. I used to play against him in his old CM2 days in Hawaii back in the day. Yes, this is absolutely exposed, but remember, who is it that can see us, okay? If we take any sort of breakout, any sort of standard breakout, not even standard, but like, let's say, for example, they get to this Dorito here, here, and here, okay? And you got to the 50. So we established that your first kill shot is one of these two people, okay? So if you shoot this guy and you get him to panic, you might get this guy to turn his gun. It's very possible. But otherwise, you're going to kill probably one of these two people, okay? And in this case, we're going to say the home is the guy you kill. You can't make this move if the home guy is still alive. You cannot make this move if the home guy is still alive. But if the home guy is dead, this channel, excuse me, this zone right here is actually super safe. You might not think it, but the only guy that can kill you is this dude looking on the inside over the top. And if you're too high, he will kill you. But this snake guy is not going to shoot you. This snake guy, if nobody knows where you're at after you kill the only dude who would, nobody's going to see you run this zone right here. So again, the Dorito 3 and the Dorito 2, what did I say? That's the Dorito 2. The Dorito 2 is going to be a problem if he's there, right? Because this Dorito 2 is going to kill you. But if he's at the Dorito 1, still, because they're slowed for whatever reason on that side, this zone is super free. Who's going to shoot you? The only guy that can shoot you after you kill the home is this dude, if you're staying low enough. That's the only guy. And he's probably looking heads up. Now, if you kill the home guy and this dude looks your way, if this guy looks your way, then you don't have to do anything. You just have to stay alive. You've drawn one gun on the opposite side of the field to look towards you, which is a win. Because now you have, at best, you have a 2v1 on this side of the field with the only guy somewhere in the Doritos. Okay? You have to know where this dude is. You have to know where one of those two people are. I'm just kidding. Anyway, so that's the reason why that route exists. Shadowing bunkers is super underrated. Well, this is the thing. It's not underrated in the pro division. It's just that people can't get away with it because pros are very mindful of that, right? Pros are ever watchful for that. But when you get a pro team to play against a D2 team, those pro teams will, like, watch Fedorov. If you want to watch Fedorov, or if you want to see what I'm talking about, watch Fedorov in the 2019 World Cup. Just watch him play that finals. That man shadows every single... He, like, literally shadows the back line 1 point for, like... I think it was, like, a minute long. It was super, super long. So what's the ideal play after taking out home? It's honestly a read and react at this point. The thing is, as you get further up the field, that's the only thing you can do, right? The only thing you can do is take the kills that are free, and after that, you have to put together what the problem is, right? Is there a guy in the Aztec? Do you know where the Dorito is? Is there a guy here? Yes. You got to be kind of careful. You have to make sure this guy's not looking your way. Do you know where the Dorito guy is? Do you know which way he's looking? You don't necessarily need to know that, but we established if you hear D2, this inside route's not very safe. If you hear D1, this inside route is super safe, right? Because the only reason why I'm even suggesting that route is as a way to surprise people, but you could also just go here. You could just come to this bunker as well. Okay, come to this bunker. We established you don't really have any free kills. Well, now all of a sudden, all you've really got to work with is a heads-up fight. This is the only fight that you have left at that point, right? And that's pretty straightforward. You snap this guy here, or you come up over the top, or you take the third route right here. Because look, who's going to see you? Nobody can see you on the Dorito side if they're not past the Dorito 2. Nobody can see you as you take this challenge. The home guy's not going to shoot you, or if he is, you can shoot back at him, right? This is how you, this third angle we talked about before is how you surprise people. Okay, so after that, let's go over to the Doritos. Yes sir, I watched that wild. So okay, I read those two. All right, Dorito baseline. So we've got this gap here, moving out a little farther. We've got kind of an interesting gap, but I don't think anything will exist here probably. Yeah, I don't think there's anything there. Unless the home guy bumps up afterwards. And otherwise, you've got the wide shot to try and kill the Dorito runner. Except that that's a Dorito corner runner. Well, if people take Dorito 2 off break, but otherwise this is the corner and the Dorito 2 gap right here, which you could definitely shoot. You would kill the... Well, that's kind of crappy, to be honest. You kind of have to float off of your bunker a little bit. Interesting. Interesting. That's kind of a tough zone, guys. Who can shoot that better? This guy can. There we go. So if you run baseline and you get here, yeah, you can take a knee or just low crouch and shoot paint here. Shoot that gap. Or if you come out, I don't think you would kill this dude, to be honest with you. I don't, and the thing is, guys, we're past the point of trying this stuff out. So that's the reason why I don't like to do reviews of layouts the week prior to the event or like the weekend, just because a lot of stuff I'm proposing to you, I don't know if it's going to work, and you have to find out at the field if it does, right? So otherwise, pretty big gap from the home as we established to shoot the corner or the Dorito 2 if they decided to take that off the break. Same gap sort of exists from this guy, but I don't know if he's going to be looking your way. Oh, Dorito's kind of a complex side. So one of the things that's really helpful with the Doritos is paying attention to the zones and how many people are left on your side, right? So for example, let's say you're in this bunker right here, okay? And you head check and you see that paint is coming from this guy. Okay, you see paint coming from the Aztec, and you know there's a guy matched up somewhere in this zone, right? You've got one guy matched up with you here. Well, if this is the case, where are they likely not going to be? They're not likely going to be here. Nobody's going to be here at this point, right? Especially if it's early game. And they're not going to be like in this Aztec and this juice box, right? So that means that you now know where the two people are roughly. You know there's a guy behind that bunker, that Aztec, and you know there's a guy somewhere along the tape. So all you really have to do is just maybe shoot some paint down the wire for a second and then run and use this Dorito to blind up all the way to here, and now you're golden. And now if you want, you can challenge even further, which if you need to win a point, this might be a good idea. Now you challenge this guy again, first 10 to 15 seconds of the point. So you need to win a point fast. You got to the Dorito 2 almost off the break. You shoot this guy in, and now it's like you can take this bite pretty freely, right? Because you have to remember, people generally speaking play heads up, right? The two people here are playing heads up. The two people here are playing heads up. So that means that when you take any early bites within the first, well, we'll call it the early game, within the early to very beginning of the mid game, if you know what I'm talking about, watch my videos, nobody's going to be looking cross on you. Nobody on the opposite side of the field is going to be looking cross. And if the home guy can't see you, that's the only person who's going to stop you. Otherwise, if you're blinding out the two people that are in front of you, you're free to take those bites really quickly early on. Okay? But let's back up a little bit here. We've got to go through this quickly because we got to get to the other layout. So this is a pretty okay bunker to stop any sort of Dorito progression out of the Dorito 2. It's not a great bunker to stop them getting into the Dorito 2, it looks like. The gap definitely is there, right? You can shoot the lower corner of this to bounce paint up into somebody as they run to it. But it doesn't seem to be the greatest bunker. We'll take those center routes here in a second. If we go out to the Dorito corner, we established that you can blind... Nobody in the Doritos can see you here. The only guy that you got to worry about is your mirror, essentially. But otherwise, you've got huge blinds if you hug this. Like, man, those are massive. Who's going to shoot you? Nobody can shoot you taking that route. Okay? So that's cool. If you decide to take the inside route, which I'm not sure why you would, you could shoot the, now you've got a couple people you got to check off. Is there a guy in this wedge, or is the guy over here? And then you can take this Dorito right here. I don't know why you would do that, but you could. Otherwise, if you go to the Dorito 1 off break, you've got a pretty standard problem where you have to beat your guy heads up and beat the guy on the inside. The problem is the guy on the inside has a blinded gap. So, which we established from this perspective is not great, right? So we've established that this is the gap they have to hold you from. Okay? So what that means is that in order for them to stop you, they have to be shooting paint at you. So if you're here and you win your gunfight and you see paint landing right here, you got to tell your guy like, hey, I can't go. The whatever bunker you're calling it is stopping me, right? But if the paint is not there and you beat this guy, you should take the bite instantly. Take it instantly. And the earlier in the game you do it, the safer it is. If you take that bite in the mid to late game, it is not safe anymore. Okay? Because this inside guy, this guy right here is going to probably look to make some kind of crazy moves somewhere in this side of the field. It might even be, we can even include these, right? Past the early game or past the mid game and greater, that is caution. You need to be very careful about taking that bite for free. But if it's in the early game, even early, like the mid game, and you beat this guy, no paint coming your way, take this bite instantly. This is a little tricky because these gaps are what get you a lot. This gap doesn't exist in Guns Up, it looks like. But if you go high, if you're too high, that Dorito guy can kill you. If you go low, you're probably okay. And in this case, if the guy's still in the Dorito 1, and you beat this dude, you get him to flinch, this bite is pretty free, it looks like. The home guy might be a problem. The home guy might be a problem at that point. He might be here. But if he's looking this way and this guy's looking this way, if you can put that together, these two guys are doing the same job, which is not great. So if he's here looking your way, I don't know why. I don't know. I don't think he would do that, but it's always possible. It's paintball. The longer the game goes on, all I'm really saying is like the longer a game goes on, the more options you have to eliminate. The earlier in the game you make your moves, the less options you have to eliminate because people are still getting to their primary bunkers, right? Or even to their secondaries. So maybe just head check that. Maybe when you come out and challenge this dude, just quick head check this wedge. If nobody's there, then take the bite. When you get here, no free kills, right? No free kills. We established that you can shoot this gap. So if you get stuck here, you can shoot this gap. But I would try not to get stuck in this Dorito too. I don't think there's any reason for you to get stuck here if there's only one guy stopping you. If you get to the Dorito 2 in the mid game or late game, maybe consider doing that. Maybe consider if you're getting shot at, maybe consider shooting this gap. But at that point, I don't even think anybody's going to be here anymore. And that's Snake 1. Okay, no free kills there. Just really quickly, no free kills. No free kills there, obviously. No free kills here. Looking on the inside here. You might be able to catch somebody's pod pack here. It's not a free kill. No free kills anywhere else at this Dorito. Man, this is a really heads up. This is a really gun battle-y sort of field. Coming here. Oh, interesting. I didn't notice this before. I don't think I put this together. That snake is a problem. If that snake guy is looking your way as you try to get to the 50, he can absolutely kill you. He'll have to be shooting at you beforehand, probably. But if he is shooting at you, you have to play like this corner of the bunker to not die. Otherwise, that's the first kill I would look for if you get to the 50. I would look for this snake guy. I would shoot paint there. The problem is if you don't kill that guy and he flinches, now you have a timer. You're on a timer to make something happen, or you have to just survive like playing low, right? So otherwise, the snake corner guy is probably the same thing. I think you could actually kill the snake for free. So what I would do as soon as you get to the 50, check the snake 2, look to the snake corner, see if he's there. Otherwise, you could probably wrap on the tower after. And then I wouldn't wrap any further. I'd just play heads up after that. And after that, it's pretty simple. This is this is a very simple challenge, but this is a dangerous challenge. This valley right here, where you'd come out this direction and shoot at this guy, that is a very scary angle for you to take against him. And oftentimes the easiest way to lose your positioning or the strength that you had is to take this challenge first, and this guy's just staring at you waiting to put a ball, because that's a really easy shot for him. It's a harder shot for you. Otherwise, if this guy doesn't die, or if you don't want to check him off, you could actually probably come here. So assuming they're still in the Dorito 1, which happens, right? Assuming they're still stuck in the Dorito 1, you can blind out the Aztec and come pretty low, and then this corner is a free kill. Corner's free. If you can check off the snake here, otherwise you can kind of shadow up. Now all of a sudden you've cleared out all the 50s. You're probably going to kill this guy. If you shoot at this snake 3 and he doesn't die, this is where you kind of have to go run the guy down, right? But you can still blind these people out and shadow up to this bunker. You can take the inside challenge to surprise. You can take the outside challenge to be safe. And then otherwise, you just got to run this dude down. And that's pretty much the Doritos. So let's look at the center really fast. And then we'll be done. So we established that the center has this right gap, the center right gap here. And then as you move up further, you've got a pretty solid snake gap. You've had an over the top to shoot the corner. You've got this gap to shoot the Dorito runner. It's a pretty small gap, but it is there. Doesn't look like you have anything else. You have probably an up the center route really easy. Wow, that's a really nice center route. So if you decided to take, I wouldn't probably do it on the snake side of the field, just because if you do it on the snake side of the field, their number 2 on the snake side will see you as you come up here, and he'll call this bunker out. So if you're going to go up the center, do it on the Dorito side, go low. You can probably just shoot paint as you're running up to this gap if you want, to prevent them from taking an early bite. Otherwise, if you decide to shoot Dorito way, you might be able to get an easy kill on the Dorito runner. It would be a last second thing, but you could possibly do that. So if you go up to the center 50 right away, man, you've got a gap, but you don't have a lot of intel, so you can't react to it. You have to put paint here. And if you do that from this position, you're exposing yourself, which is not great. Brandon Reed, what does that say? Are steeper bunker angles better to gunfight out of? No, they're not, because they're more awkward to conform to. So you usually, in order for you to be completely in line with a bunker that has a very harsh angle, you have to cock your head, which throws off your center of balance, and it makes it super awkward to snap from. So that's why the wedge angles, challenging from those wedge angles, is really, really, really bad. Sometimes you have to, and you don't have a choice, but they're pretty bad. Yo, I'm back. Talked last week about playing for my first time this Sunday. Awesome. Nice. That's right. How did it go? Wait. Oh, this Sunday is coming up. Awesome. Well, welcome back, dude. Otherwise, you've got a really, really good gap. So if you tiger the Dorito one, I would set up this trap. I would hold this for a second, because this is a trap you can hold where you don't have to shoot paint, but you can just shoot the landing zone in response to seeing them run. It's granted, you got to be quick on the trigger, but you could shoot a few balls here every so often just to keep them honest. But that's a really good trap to set. If you need to put something together, you can wrap and shoot this guy in and come here. So that's like a classic Sunshine State 2021 move, where you shoot this guy, get him to flinch, and then come up here. You've got a potential trade or kill here. Got to be good at running and gunning for that one. You got a stop gap here you can shoot. Kill the snake guy. Otherwise, I mean, if he's looking your way, that guy will kill you. But otherwise, you've got a free kill in the corner while you're still blending out the home. And now you can headhunt for the guy that's heads up. So he's either here or he's going to be here. Again, this is if you tigered the wide guy in the Dorito. Okay. So if they're no longer in this zone and you're in the 50, you can either set the trap or you can push if you need the point. Okay, that's the reason why we're going over that. If you need the point, don't hold this gap for too long. Hold this gap for like 10, 15 seconds. And then if nothing's happening, they don't need to come at you, then just challenge the guy at the home, come up here. The only guy that's going to kill you, I'm just realizing this guy will kill you if he challenges you, if he's here. If the home guy says center 50, center 50, center 50, this guy's going to peek you right here, and that's going to be bad news bears for you. So that's the only caveat there. Just got all my stuff. Nice. Interesting. I never really considered that. Thanks. Absolutely. Yeah, no problem. Okay. We looked at that center. Let's look at the tower here really quick. The tower. Okay, guys, I was wrong. This tower is a great bunker to stop them from moving up the snake. So if they're taking conservative bikes, if they're taking conservative bikes on the snake side, maybe consider taking this bunker off the break as your number 3 and just stopping him here. That's a super great stop. And it looks like the only way to dig that person out is if you come through the center. Picked up an old NT11 plus a bunch of goodies from Pretty Cheap, so I'm stoked. That's awesome, dude. NT11s are sick. If you go to this wedge, you could hold that gap, but I probably wouldn't, because you're probably going to be the number 2 on the Dorito side, and in which case this is a great gap to hold. This gap. So this wedge is huge. This wedge is really, really, really important. So interesting. Okay. Everything else I think is pretty straightforward. So here's a few things to consider. I'm not going to do breakouts for you guys because I don't have time. We're already well over the time for the next layout review. So here's a couple things to consider. Okay. This bunker is really good. This is a key bunker on this layout because it stops so many Dorito gaps and a relatively safe position. I don't think you can see that guy. But here's the trick, okay? If you send a guy here and a guy here, which this is a safe route. That inside route's pretty safe. You now all of a sudden run the risk of losing your wide guy and being stuck on this part of the field, okay? So if you take this bunker off the break, you have to send your home guy here, okay? If you're like, yeah, this wedge is super strong, you pretty much have to have your number 3 here because he needs to be able to fill out in case you lose your guy or in case you tiger somebody and you want to do a 3-man push the Dorito way, right? With people in, a 3-man push with people in these bunkers, okay? So if you send your number, it doesn't really matter who you call this guy, if he's your 2 or your 3. The key thing is he's looking Dorito. He's looking Dorito way, and somebody needs to be here. It's possible, probably, to send somebody here and here, but I'm not going to go through the painstaking detail to figure that out. What I would mostly be concerned about is what sort of angles present to both of us at the same time. That's what I'd be primarily concerned about. But otherwise, if you don't do that, your home guy can either go here to stop the snake, or he can go here to make a sneaky play on the Dorito gaps. Okay. I would suspect that if you play against a team that pulls up short on the Dorito side, like let's say you're actually killing this guy as he's running through this gap. Oh, whoa, holy. As he's running and if you're killing this guy, you can probably assume that they're going to pull up short here. Okay. Or they're going to run to the corner. And if that's the case, you can preemptively move your, one play. And after that, you can move this guy up here. Right off the break to then hold this gap. Okay. Because you don't need to have this home guy here shooting that gap anymore. You can just instead take that bite because they're going to be super scared to pull deep. Okay. I'm sure that there is stuff that exists on the snake side as well. I will say if they're in the snake 3, you need to be very careful about that. You need to kind of play in this corner right here in order to not die. And you might even still die. If they're here, you're okay. But if you hear snake 3, you either need to tuck your butt in or you need to challenge them on this side. You need to just wrap right here. Okay. We established that if you're in this bunker, you're trying to contain these people and your only concern is for this guy. That's the only dude you have to really snap shoot is this guy. And then just be wary of where the number 2 is. Is the number 2 in this wedge? I'm drawing somebody. Is the number 2 here or the number 2 here? If the number 2's here, you're golden, dude. Challenge this guy all day. If the number 2 is here or you don't know if he's here or not, this wrap to shoot the home guy is not free. That's not free anymore because this guy will react to that. Okay. If you wrap and shoot this guy's loader or you kill him and he doesn't say anything or he doesn't know where you're shooting at him from, then you're free to proceed. Okay. You're free to proceed. Okay. Snake, it appears to be that the corner is super strong as always, as is typical. Oh, the Dorito corner is a stopgap bunker. Don't get stuck here. If you're going to go to the corner, it's because you want to take a different route into the Doritos because you're dying going here off the break. And the reason you would make that play is so you can have your gun up and so you can get to this Dorito 3 off the break, or 2, excuse me. You could also run with your gun down if you wanted. It's up to you, but key bunker is this. We said that. We didn't really look at this bunker. I'm sure it's great. I'm sure there's even something you can do with these bunkers, but all I really see with these is blinds, and I also see cheeky routes you could take to get to this 50 brick. That's all I really see. So we're not going to walk those because we're just not going to. We don't have time. But hopefully you guys learned something. That's all I can. I've given more time than I was hoping, but that's okay. Hopefully you guys learned something. If you did, I really do appreciate a comment down below telling me what you learned. It always is interesting to see what people are picking up on from these layout reviews. So if you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button, click subscribe if you're not subscribed already, and I'm going to end this stream hopefully correctly this time and load up the next one. So for anybody who's going to be playing the EPL layout, I'll see you guys over in that link. We're going to have to blaze through that one as quickly as possible, though, so I apologize. But thanks, guys, so much for watching. I will see you later. Peace.